Started. Welcome everyone. I cannot see all of your pretty faces right now because I'm on screen share, so I can see a limited number of faces. I will come back into the main window where we can all see each other in a little bit. In case you logged in after I said it, if you have questions or want to interact at some point during the presentation, please put those questions into the chat window. I will look at that chat window as soon as we get out of the screen share so that you can see the information. What our focus is today, and thank you very much for all taking time out of, 9:30 is a little bit early in a pandemic world for some people. We are going to be talking about how customer desires are going to shift as we move through and continue to move past what's happening. And before we get started, I want to give special thanks to Gina and to the BOGO card, because the BOGO card sponsors these wonderful events and allows all of us to collect together and all of us to be together in this. So I have my Believe coffee cup. I don't know if you guys can see it, because I truly do believe that we are all going to prevail in this if we just get our minds in the right framework. We have tools, we're all smart. We came out of a really booming economy when this happened, and all of us have the ability to move forward. So for those who don't know me, I know some of you know me well, but some of you don't. Let me tell you a little bit about who I am and what the brands are or what the business is that I do, so that you can understand. It actually relates to one of the themes in the report, credibility and expertise. Like, why should you listen to this person right now? So my name is Connie Chesner, if you don't know me. I have over 25 years of experience in qualitative market research. So I have worked with some of the biggest brands in the world, and I've worked with micro brands. You name it, the span is there. I just love helping people understand brands and understand themselves and understand how to message better, how to market better, how to develop product better, how to make a better marriage between a market that needs you. Oftentimes we get kind of slapped on the hand, how dare you sell things? No, the market needs you, you need the income, and we come together in a way that's mutually beneficial. So that's the background. I have a very deep set of experience in human communication. Taught at Wake Forest for a while, worked in market research, have run 3 successful businesses, including the ones that you see on the screen. So Armored Research sponsored this report. This report is something that a big corporation would often request, and we do this type of research for them in terms of getting this type of insight. Why behind the what of behavior. The more you understand why people are behaving in a way, the better off you are to understand the what that you need to marry those two things together. And in the background, or before everything kind of came down, Armored Team Building is the business that many of you know me through. It's been building for about 5 years, and it takes things like research and understanding of humans, and it expands it out. And it says, how do we now put that into programs that make people better or allow them and give them tools to be better when they interact? So that's just a headline before we get started, in case somebody doesn't know me. For those of you that know me, you've heard all of that before. So let's jump into what we're going to talk about today, which is that how are consumer desires shifting? And the first thing I want you guys to look at is this tiny little model that has a lot of meat to it. And we're not going to spend a ton of time here because it is a very simple concept. Most of the population right now is over here in step 1. They're working to endure what's happening right now. That means that in the mental state they're in, all they can think about is right now, today, the next hour, the next moment. Their kids are getting frustrated with technology. If they have kids, if they don't have kids, I'm isolated, I can't go to my spots. All these things are happening, confused messages. That's an enduring, very fear-based, anxiety-based state. What we want to do, and what this research is working to empower people to do, is to move into that stage 2 for right now, which is to evolve. We want to put our mindset there. We don't want to get stuck in that, oh my goodness, everything's coming at me, this information. The media keeps saying we are going to open, we aren't going to open, but if we open, it's don't do that. Instead, focus on where you can take what we know now and move higher. And that's what the focus is going to be today when we talk about the insights. And the final step is going to come when everybody emerges out of this. And that emerging, and you can see it is a cycle on the screen. We want to be better prepared for that emerging than some of our competition and some of the other folks that are out there. So we want to be able to have these 3 work together. Now, don't take that the wrong way when I say you want to be prepared better than your competition. I want you to realize that if you can lift someone else up in the middle of what we're in right now, do it. We will all rise together. This is the whole rising tide raises all ships. I know there's that popular social media piece right now talking about we're all in the same storm in different boats. If you carry that analogy forward and you think about a rising tide, all of us will succeed together if we help each other out. Don't hold on to information or tools that you find right now and go, well, if I share them with others, maybe, you know, I'm not going to have as much profit or as many sales. Right now, we all need the assistance and we all need the help. So feel free to pass along these insights, or when you get to the evolve stage, help others kind of snap out of the endure as you can. So what we want to look at today, and this is going to be the slide that'll stay up for a little while. I know there's a lot of writing, but it's kind of a static slide for me to kind of talk against. Is we're going to talk about 5 key themes, and I'm not going to go through all 5 in detail because, oh my goodness, we have a limited time, right? So we're going to pick 1 or 2. While I'm doing that, I want you to think about a few key questions. Number 1, how will these things affect your role or industry? The neat thing about this report is that it is universal in how it can be applied. We've talked to folks in several other countries already. At first, I thought this was very American-based. The name of the report is America on Pause. And the more we talk to others, the more we realize these truly do go beyond American shores. So we knew that it was for American companies. We're finding out it's actually globally applicable. So no matter where you work or how you work, how will these impact your industry? In addition, what are some insights that you might need to enhance this and allow you to think about your specific market? And then how can you work to get to that emerge stage? So you're in the evolve. How do you work to get to the emerge so that as we come out, and we will come out of this, guys. So as we come out, how can we move forward? So, and then of course, always ask yourself when you're reading any report, right? What do I do with this now? How do I turn these tools into something that I can really use now? So insight number 1, and these are themes that you need to understand that will change in the market. Trust and reciprocal loyalty will be rampant in terms of what consumers and buyers will require and will desire. What I mean by that, and you might be saying, well, trust was always important. Absolutely. We're going to have that raised even to another level now. I want you to think for just one moment, and I'm sorry to traumatize you by asking you to think about the mass media, but think about what the mass media has done in messaging throughout the entire piece of this pandemic. Oh my goodness, this is the answer today. No, wait, 2 minutes later, there's a new answer. There's a competing set of answers. Here's this, that, another thing. Our trust has been fractured. And so when our trust fractures, we have 3 elements to trust in our lives. We have systems, which are things like the media, organizations, laws, those types of things. All of that has come into question. Okay, people are going, you're breaking the Constitution. No, you're not breaking the Constitution. You should walk around with a mask. Oh, it's an order, but it's a recommendation. All that confusing messaging, no matter how you personally feel about it, is causing trust to fracture across things. So when systematic trust is broken, the great news for all of us is that other people now look to the other 2 areas of trust in order to build themselves back up and to feel that, because we need to feel trust in our lives. Those other 2 areas are trust in ourselves. So that means getting a sense of self-confidence, looking into your well of talent, expertise, background, and going, how can I add? And then looking at others. And those others in many cases right now are falling into friends, family, connections like this, true networking and relationships. Layered on top of that is a need for reciprocal loyalty. And what reciprocal loyalty means, it's a very simple concept, but tough for a lot of bigger brands to execute. It's the idea that if I am faithful to you, you are faithful to me. That's it. It's a simple concept. It means that if I buy a product, a service, or I order something, or I interact with you, you are true to your word, and I am true to my word back. So if something goes wrong, as always will in some cases, right? You work to make it better. So that's theme 1. Theme 2 deals with a very important element also, credibility and expertise. I want you to ask yourself how many people, and please don't put this in the chat window because this would not be something that we would want to reveal or out other people in. But in terms of credibility and expertise, I want you to think about how many people you interact with day to day in a business sense, that don't really have a lot of credibility to what they're saying. They don't have depth to what they're saying. So they're kind of talking, and that's great. Opinions are fantastic, but there's no weight to what they're saying. As we move forward, because there's been so much chatter happening, okay? And this report was written about 4 weeks ago, guys. So these patterns were very apparent super early on in what we were doing. The credibility and expertise came out because so many people were, suddenly everybody sounds like they have a medical degree. Everybody sounds like they have a finance degree. Everybody sounds, oh, let me tell you now, if you want to get that money from the stimulus package, this is what I heard from a cousin of a cousin of a friend who had a business at one point, and they went and they did it this way. Woo! So as we come out of this, think about not only how many people don't have that weight, but now think about you and your customers. Everybody that I know that was invited to this event has a lot of depth of knowledge and expertise. Figure out how you convey that forward. Lead with your expertise and your background so that people go, oh, a breath of fresh air in the midst of all of this chaos happening right now. The third aspect here is purposeful diversion. And as most of you have probably noticed as we've gone through this experience together, this whole storm, as everybody talks about it, we've noticed that that idea of pure distraction has kind of gone away. America especially had gotten to a point where we just were easily distracted. We'd go out, we'd spend a bunch of money on just pastime activities that had no meaning to them. As we move forward, what's going to happen is a demand for purposeful diversion. Doesn't mean anything that happened before can't happen again in terms of activities. It means how we perceive and interact with those is going to be something that we're going to be looking for more meaning in. So all the jigsaw puzzles you see that people are assembling across the entire world right now, all the families that are going to parks, or all the people that are doing things together, lots of board games and family activities, even shared things like where you have to help children do schoolwork. All those things are going to intersect in terms of saying, you know what, that felt a little bit better than just something where we didn't have any type of relationship enhancement. So purposeful diversion means we're going to look for things that don't just distract us, but that allow us to be distracted and have entertainment. That's all still amazing, and we all need that, but it's going to allow us to raise that up just one step higher. So the fourth area, increased sense of control. I'm not going to spend much time on these last two. You're welcome to chat or to ask me questions about them. An increased sense of control comes when, and there's lots of research out there on psychology, when you take away a sense of control. And I don't, like I said, I don't care where you fall on any of the spectrums of where things are happening right now in terms of your perception. I can tell you that your increased sense of control will come out of the idea that you're being told to walk one way down aisles in grocery stores right now. You're being told to wear face masks and take steps that you haven't had to take before. We will boomerang back into an idea of, I want to have more of a say over what happens. Ties directly into theme 5, which is the idea of an enhanced desire for freedom. Now, in America, that's going to come across as a lot of patriotism. And every one of you, when I said that word patriotism, have a different image of what that means. So don't think of patriotism just as flag waving and chanting and going to events and singing, you know, the Star Spangled Banner in America. Think of that as what does patriotism mean to your market? And that could be something as simple as where a product is manufactured. It could be that they feel that they are helping a small business that is based here, even if some of your things are sourced elsewhere. What is that that's going to happen? And that's going to come out in an enhanced desire for us to have more expression of freedom across the world. So expressing ourselves in new and exciting ways around that. I know that's a lot of content. If you take nothing else away from what I just said, focus on the top two. If you can get trust and a sense of reciprocal loyalty with your markets, you're going to be 2 steps ahead. If you can then think about credibility and expertise and layer that in, oh my goodness. Now you're at a point where you can have a relationship and a conversation. So there's one other concept that I want to be sure that we cover before I break and go back to you guys talking. And this is the idea of different experience scales. And these obviously are not all of them, but they're all that will fit on the screen right now. Okay. So I'm sure all of you, your brains are going a million miles as you begin to look at this. Everybody is having different factors. And so in work, some people are unemployed right now. Some people lost all of their income. Other people are overworked. They're in essential fields. You have another group that has a salary, but they're at home. So everything in these areas here, these are all major areas: how we work, our economics of our household, how we look at cleaning. What did we look at cleaning before? What do we do now? You can see it when you're out in public right now, and it's so sad right now, because you go out in public and a lot of people have forgotten how to smile. They've forgotten how to make eye contact. They're fearful of each other, even though there's nothing wrong with the other person. They just happen to be in the grocery store at the same time as you, okay? So these different reactions and such are all starting to intersect, and you're seeing different reactions to that as we move forward. And you all know that you can go through a million additional categories besides these. It will depend a lot. One of the things that folks, that's easy to quantify moving forward in terms of looking at who you're selling to and who you're talking to, your marketing messaging. If you go all the way down the list to the area that says geography on it, geography will matter. Where you lived when this happened mattered. Did you live in the rural area, a suburb, or a metro? Metropolitan areas have been hit harder because of population density. Their experience is very different than those who live in rural areas, and maybe they're farmers, or maybe they're in the Midwest somewhere that's a little bit, maybe they're just out in Davie or Davidson County if you're in North Carolina. There's somewhere that has a different type of impact to things. Metropolitan folks tend to be dependent upon all those systems we talked about in trust. Folks that live in rural areas sometimes have more of a sense of self-sufficiency built in. So that's something that I want you to make sure, because it's very easy when you're segmenting markets to go, where is the market? Where does that person live, and what is it likely that they experienced in this? So that you're speaking intelligently to what their experience is, and you don't come across as tone deaf as they come through. The report itself is 26 pages long, and it's available to anyone who wants to request to download. This is the website that you can go to. It's simply our website. If you don't get that extension, the America on Pause 2020 part, you go to the main website and there's a link right there. So it's really hard not to find if you're looking for it, guys. All requests, there is no autoresponder on this. So if you do email through the form, it comes directly to myself and to Travis. Travis is my business partner, for those who don't know him. So we will respond personally to you. So don't expect you hit send and it doesn't come in 5 minutes, because there's a human on the other side of that. We made that decision right now, even though some days right now I'm spending hours sending these emails out because they're personal. The reason why we made that decision is right now, the last thing any of you need is more automation and technology invading your life and taking over an AI. You need a personal relationship, because that's what builds people and allows us to move forward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit stop share on the screen, and then I'm going to be able to see you guys. Everybody. And oh my goodness. Okay, so that was Gina typing a lot of times with lots of amazing notes. And then if you have questions, so you can put them in the chat window over here. And I think that I'm looking at the screen, all of you are muted. So does anybody not know how to use the chat screen on Zoom? Just like shake your head, no, that's the case. Yes, you do know how to use it? Yeah? Okay, all the heads are going. So let's see. So Susan has said, let's see.